Hey everyone, today's video recap will be one of the most viewed and trending drama crime film of 2022. It is The Good Nurse. Directed by Tobias Lindholm, with a screenplay by Christy Wilson, The Good Nurse film is adapted from the same non-fiction book published in 2013 by Charles Graeber. It recounts the genuine story of Charlie Cullen, a chronic killer who admitted to killing something like 40 patients during his 16 extended vocation as a medical nurse. It stars Jessica Chastain, Eddie Redmayne, and Denise Pillett. This was a brief introduction to film, and now let's begin to dive into the plot and enjoy watching. Likes and subscriptions are highly appreciated. The film starts with a scene from 1996 in Pennsylvania's St. Aloysius Clinic, where a patient has an unexpected crisis circumstance because of which medical caretakers and specialists run into the ward to give help. All their earnest attempts are made, however the patient can't be saved, and the flatlining heart scream is heard. A youthful male medical nurse, who is quick to answer and rush in, looks on defenselessly as the patient loses his life. After 7 years, in 2003, Parkfield Dedication Medical Clinic is a bustling neighborhood medical clinic in New Jersey, and it likewise is the working environment of our hero, Amy Luffren. Amy is a medical caretaker with a generally excellent standing, both among the staff and her partners and, surprisingly, more so among the patients. She is adequately caring to let relatives stay on lengthy subsequent to visiting hours when the patient is steady and is useful to everybody around her. Notwithstanding, Amy's life has numerous difficulties of its own, the essential being that she is a single parent to 2 little kids who truly need to invest more energy with their mom. Be that as it may, Amy can't stand to do as such because of her work and needs to rather consistently leave her little girls with a babysitter, Jackie. Making what is going on significantly more troublesome, Amy has likewise fostered a serious heart condition for which she needs to finish a heart relocate at the earliest, or she could confront demise. Be that as it may, Amy isn't yet prepared to finish this transfer, for she neither has the opportunity nor the cash for it yet. She wants to go on with her occupation for 4 additional prior months she can get health care coverage, which would permit her to deal with the funds, and hence, she doesn't educate anybody at her work concerning this condition, all things considered. Amy is sure that the Parkfield Emergency Clinic specialists would lay her off on the off chance that they realized she was working under such a lot of pressure and such a lethal medical issue, so she remains quiet about it. In the midst of such a situation, another specialist joins the medical clinic staff, a male medical caretaker by the name of Charles Cullen, and Amy makes colleague with him. All along, Charles is very kind and accommodating, particularly towards Amy, and the two immediately become old buddies. One evening during their shift, Amy falls wiped out, and Charles looks into her heart infirmity. In any case, to Amy's joy, Charles comprehends what is going on and vows to never enlighten anybody, and the man likewise offers to help the lady out for the following 4 months. Nonetheless, 2 or 3 passings in the clinic before long change the situation and the connection between these 2 well-disposed associates. Occasionally later, a patient, typically under the management of Amy, strangely passed on a night she was not in control. Albeit certain things concerning the patient's vitals propose something unnatural could have happened to her, the matter isn't sought after a lot by the staff. Following the demise, Amy and Charles, who had taken care of the patient prior, are left stunned by this unexpected demise, however are more wrecked by despondency than they suspect anything of it. Right now, Charles imparts an extremely private memory to Amy, recollecting how his own mom had passed on when he was a kid and how the clinic had first lost her body for a couple of hours and afterward recuperated it and kept it lying around unattended. Amy finds a simple companion and friend in Charles steadily, despite the fact that the two don't get sincerely involved. As a component of his guarantee to help her, Charles begins frequently visiting Amy's home to invest energy with her little girls while their mom is working. The man likewise lets Amy know how he had lost guardianship of his own girls after his separation from his significant other, and he was additionally not permitted to meet the young ladies on the grounds that the ex had been grumbling about him mishandling their pet canines. Amy doesn't appear to concentrate entirely on everything, as she trusts all that Charles says. It is likewise worth focusing on here that the good nurse projects a sluggish and persuading spell concerning how Charles is introduced during the underlying pieces of the film, as the man seems, by all accounts, to be an incredibly supportive individual, with the main conceivable negative being that he was simply excessively great. Meanwhile, the clinic specialist figured out that the patient who had died had experienced a strange response to the meds she had been given. For circumstances like this, it was convention to contact the police and lead an examination concerning the matter, and the Parkfield specialist did likewise rather hesitantly. Any emergency clinic fears being viewed as at fault for a few carelessness with respect to the medical caretakers and staff or another significant bad behavior, and to conceal any opportunity of genuine examination. The Parkfield specialists informed the police 7 weeks after the demise. Their reason was that an inside examination required some investment, yet in reality, this postponement was to conceal any conceivable proof. The body of the patient had been incinerated by the family, who were not even recounted the genuine justification behind her demise by the emergency clinic, and this demonstrated the assignment of the two researching cops even more troublesome. They talked with every one of the medical caretakers and staff at the office, and through their discussion with Amy, they figured out that the patient had been given unnecessary insulin by somebody despite the fact that she didn't experience the ill effects of diabetes, and this was immediate evidence of carelessness. One more medication by the name of digoxin had likewise been managed, and this, as well, could have played an immediate part in the demise. The officials before long figure out that Charles Cullen had a lawbreaker allegation against him in Pennsylvania prior for intruding, and conversing with the police in that state drives them to another risky hypothesis. Charles Cullen had been delegated as a medical caretaker in around 6 or so clinics throughout the course of recent years, and none of these medical clinics needed to discuss the man's record. This promptly highlighted the likelihood that Charles was maybe accomplishing something wrong at every one of the spots, and the clinics needed to keep it shut to stay away from any outcomes themselves. The Parkfield organization likewise has a comparative demeanor towards the officials, as they are given off-base and inadequate reports of the records of meds removed by the medical caretakers. Neither do they have the body of the patient to lead any more examination. Notwithstanding, close to this time, a subsequent patient passes on from an excess of insulin and digoxin, and albeit the officials have been prohibited by the emergency clinic experts for rowdiness, they get expression of it from Amy. The lady is clearly stunned to hear the examiner's hypothesis about her dear companion, however she chooses to search for any hints also. She met with a medical caretaker companion who had worked at one of Charles' past clinics and addressed her about the matter. The companion truly does without a doubt affirm that there had been talk that Charles was killing patients by glut in light of the fact that the quantity of startling passings in the emergency clinic was exceptionally high when the man worked there. Amy then, at that point, searches for hints at Parkfield. Lastly finds what she has been searching for. The packs of 4 liquids that are consistently offered to the patients show hints of altering. Later on, when she goes through the records of the medication removal framework that the attendants utilized, she finds Charles having utilized a hack stunt to take out different dosages of insulin and digoxin from the framework. Charles had himself shown her this stunt, in which dropping the solicitation to get the medications after a specific place of time dropped the solicitation in the records. However, the machine discarded the medication at any rate. She gives this data to the specialists, yet the way that the solicitation for the medications was at last displayed as dropped on the paper implied that Charles' stunt couldn't be utilized in court. Yet, these discoveries make it extremely clear that Charles Cullen used to alter the 4th liquid packs with insulin and digoxin, killing the patients gradually over hours. The examiners illuminate Parkfield Emergency Clinic pretty much this too. However, the emergency clinic's response is just to quickly terminate Charles from his work, referring to a minor blunder in the data he had given about his prior business. It is sure that the wide range of various clinics where the man had worked had terminated him, likewise the occasion. They questioned he was accomplishing something wrong. With no consideration for equity or discipline, the clinics just needed to stay away from any responsibility since they would go under weighty fire on the off chance that a representative of theirs was viewed as a chronic executioner. Once more, now that Charles is terminated from his work, the agents have absolutely no chance except for to some way or another cause the man to admit his own wrongdoings, and for this, they approach Amy for help. Since Amy had known about and begun accepting Charles for who he truly was, she felt very apprehensive around the person for clear reasons. Be that as it may, she needed to stay aware of the assumption of fellowship with Charles since she was in a weak spot, particularly since he was near her little girls too and would visit them consistently. Indeed, even on the day that Charles is terminated from the clinic, he visits Amy's home while she isn't there, and she is frightened to see him alone with her little girls. Amy actually hushes up about her feelings of dread, however, and she helps the agents by attempting to cause Charles to concede his violations on record. This doesn't work, and the man ultimately finds some work at another emergency clinic rapidly. The examiners understand that this is excessively perilous, and they capture Charles. However, they additionally stay unfortunate about the way that he would need to be liberated assuming no admission came in 48 hours. Charles Cullen denies expressing anything about his activities and acts fairly excited by more than once yelling out that he can't utter a word. It is at last Amy who chooses to help by and by, and presently she visits Charles at the police headquarters and solaces him with kind words. This works perfectly, as Charles appears to be prepared to talk, and when Amy asks him for what good reason he had committed the demonstrations, the man concedes to having killed numerous patients, yet in addition says that he didn't have the foggiest idea why he had done as such. Why precisely Charles carried out the killings is something that the film doesn't get into, and it is as yet a generally unanswered inquiry truly, as well, since the case is taken directly from the real world. Charles Cullen was really a medical caretaker captured in 2003 after he conceded to having killed 29 patients by regulating insulin and digoxin gluts. Specialists and analysts have from that point forward asserted the genuine figure of his casualties to be near 400 since there was absolutely not a chance of knowing the specific number. The Good Nurse closes with info about the genuine case, about how Charles Cullen was condemned to 18 successive life terms in jail in 2003 and stays in prison as of now. Amy Luffren likewise effectively got her heart illness treated by carrying on with a heart relocate and lives in Florida with her girls and grandkids. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed the film. My major motivation is your support, so please don't forget to like the videos and subscribe to my channel for more videos and updates.